New 72 Radio, the voice, views, and visions of the collective.
Tales of the Sacred Isles. Tonight's story is called The Story of Deirdre. There was a man in Ireland once who was called Malcolm Harper. A man was a right good man, and he could goodly share of the world's goods. He had a wife, but no family. What did Malcolm hear but that a soothsayer had come to the home of the place? And as a man was a right good man, he wished that the soothsayer might come near to them. Whether it was that he was invited or that he came himself, the soothsayer came to the house of Malcolm Harper. "Are you doing any soothsaying?" says Malcolm. "Yes, I am doing soothsaying a little." "Are you in need of soothsaying?" "Well, I do not mind taking soothsaying from you. If you had soothsaying for me, what would it be? What would you say to me?" "Well, I do soothsaying for you." "What kind of soothsaying would you want?" "Well, the soothsaying I wanted was that you would tell me a lot about my life and what was to happen." "And can you give me knowledge of it?" "Well, I am going out, and when I return, I will tell you." And the soothsayer went forth out of the house, and he was not out of the house long when he returned. "Well," said the soothsayer, "I saw in my second sight that it is on account of the daughter of yours that the three greatest amounts of blood shall be shed in Ireland. It's ever since the race of Erin began, and that the three most famous heroes that were ever found will lose their heads on your account." After a time, a daughter was born to Malcolm. He did not allow any living being to come to his house, only himself and his nurse. He asked this woman, "Will you yourself bring up the child to keep her in hiding, far away from eye, so no one may have sight of her, hear of her, or have word of her?" The woman said she would. So Malcolm got 3 men, and he took them away to a large mountain distant and far reached, without the knowledge and notice of anyone. He caused there a hillock, round and green, to be dug in the middle, and the hole thus made to be covered carefully over, that a little company could dwell there together and nobody would know. Deirdre and her foster mother dwelt in the bothy mid the hills, without the knowledge or the suspicion of any living person about them, or without anything occurring, until Deirdre was 16 years of age. Deirdre grew like the white sapling, straight and trim, and as a rash on the moss. She was a creature of fairest form, of loveliest aspect, and of the gentlest nature that existed between earth and heaven in all of Ireland. Whatever colour of hue she had before, there was nobody that looked into her face, but she would not blush red fire over it. The woman that had charge of her gave Deirdre every information and skill, of which she herself had knowledge and skill of. There was not a blade of grass growing from roots, nor a bird singing in the wood, nor a star shining from heaven that Deirdre had a name for. But one thing she did not wish her to have either part or parley with was any single living man of the rest of the world. But on a gloomy winter night, with black scowling winds, a hunter of game was wearily travelling the hills. And what happened? That he had missed the trail of his hunt and lost his course of his companions. A drowsiness came upon the man as he wearily wandered over the hills, and he lay down by the side of the beautiful green knoll in which Deirdre lived, and he slept. The man was faint from hunger and wandering, and benumbed with cold, and a deep sleep fell upon him. When he lay down beside the green hill where Deirdre was, a troubled dream came to the man, and he thought that he enjoyed the warmth of a fairy broch, the fairies being inside playing music. The hunter shouting out in his dream, if there was any one in the broch, to let him in, for the Holy One's sake. Deirdre heard the voice and said to her foster mother, "Oh, foster mother, what cry is that?" It is nothing at all, Deirdre, merely the birds of the air are straying and seeking out each other. But let them go past on the bosky gale. There is no shelter in this house for them. Oh, foster mother, the bird asked to get inside for the sake of the God of all the elements. And you yourself tell me that anything that is an ask of the name of the God ought to be let in. If you will not allow the bird that is being benumbed with cold and done to death with hunger to be let in, I do not think much of your language or your faith. But since I give credence to your language and your faith, which you yourself have taught me, I myself will let the bird in. And Deirdre arose and drew the bolt back from the leaf of the door, and she let in the hunter. She placed a seat in the place of sitting, food in the place of eating, and drink in the place of drinking, for the man who came to the house. Oh, for this life and raiment, you man that came in, keep restraint of your tongue, said the old woman. It is not a great thing for you to keep your mouth shut and your tongue quiet when you get a home and shelter of a hearth on a gloomy winter's night. Well, said the hunter, I may do that, keep my mouth shut and my tongue quiet, since I came to the house and received hospitality like this. But by the hands of thy father and grandfather, and by your own two hands too, if some other of the people of the world saw this beauteous creature you have here hid away, they would not long leave her with you. I swear it. What men are these you refer to? Said Deirdre. Well, I will tell you, young woman, said the hunter. There are Naas, son of Uznik, and Alan and Arden, his brothers. What like are these men when seen, if they were to be seen, said Deirdre. Why, the aspect and the form of these men when seen are these, said the hunter. They are the colour of the raven with their hair. The skin is like a swan on the wave of whiteness. Their cheeks is the blood of the brindled red calf. And their speed and their leap are those of the salmon in the torrent and the deer of the grey mountainside. And Naos is head and shoulders over the rest of the people of Erin. Whoever are they, said the nurse. Whoever they are, said the nurse, be off from here and take another road. And King of Light and Sun, O good South, certainly, little are my thanks for yourself, for we let you in and saved your life. The hunter went away and went straight to the palace of King Connachar. He sent word to the king that he wished to speak to him if he pleased. The king answered the message and came out to speak to the man. What is the reason for your journey? Said the king to the hunter. I have only to tell you, O king, said the hunter, that I saw the fairest creature that was ever born in Erin, and I came to tell you of it. Who is this beauty, and where is she to be seen? When she was not seen before till you saw her, if you did see her. Well, I did see her, said the hunter. But if I did, no man else can see her unless I give you the directions to where she is dwelling. And will you give me the direction to where she dwells? And the reward for your directing me will be as good as the reward for your message, said the king. Well, I will redirect you, O king, although it is likely that this will not be what they want, said the hunter. Connachar, king of Ulster, sent for his nearest kinsmen, and he told them of his intent. Though early rose the song of the birds mid the rocky caves and the music of the birds in the grove, earlier than did King Connachar of Ulster arise, and with his troop of dear friends, in the delightful twilight of the fresh gentle May, the dew was heavy on each bush and flower and stem as they set forth to bring Deirdre home from her green knoll from where she stayed. Many a youth was there who had lithe of leaping and lissome step when they started those steps on a faint, failing and faltering journey, when they reached the bothy on account of the length of the way and the roughness of the road, for they were all weary. Yonder, now down in the bottom of the glen, is the bothy where the woman dwells. But I will not go nearer than this to the old woman, said the hunter. Connachar, with his band of kinsfolk, went down to the green knoll where Deirdre dwelt, and he knocked at the door of the bothy. The nurse replied, no less than a king's command and a king's army could put me out of my bothy tonight, and I should be obliged to you, were you to tell whoever it is who wants to come in to go away from my bothy door. It is I, Connachar, king of Ulster. When the poor woman heard who was at the door, she rose and hasted and let the king and all that could get in with his retinue. When the king saw the woman, what was before him, that he had been in quest of, he thought he never saw in the course of a day or in the dream of a night a creature so fair as Deirdre. and he gave his full heart's weight of love for her. Deirdre was raised on the topmost of all the heroes' shoulders, and she and her foster mother were brought to the court of King Connachar of Ulster. With the love that Connachar had for her, he wanted to marry Deirdre right off there and then. Will she nill marry him now? But she said to him, I would be obliged of you if you would give me the respite of a year and a day. And he said, I will grant you that, hard though it is, if you will give me your unfailing promise that you will marry me at the year's end. And she gave that promise. Connachar got from her woman teacher the merriest maids and the fairest ones to be with her, and down and rise with her, and would play with her and speak with her. Deirdre was clever in maidenly duties and wifely understanding, and Connachar thought he never saw the bodily eye of a creature that pleased him more in all his life. Deirdre and her woman companions were one day out on a hillock behind the house, enjoying the scene and drinking in the sun's heat. What did they see coming but 3 men a journeying? Deirdre was looking at the men that were coming and wondering at them. When the men neared them, Deirdre remembered the language of the huntsman, and she said to herself that these were the 3 sons of Uznec, and that was Naos, he having what was over the bend, head and shoulders above the other men, and all Erin. The 3 brothers went past without taking any notice of them, without even glancing at the young girls on the hillock. What happened but that love for Naos stuck in Deirdre's heart, so that she could not but follow after him. She girded up her raiment and went after the men that went past the base of the knoll, leaving her women attendants there. Alan and Arden had heard of the woman that Connachar, king of Ulster, had with him, and they thought that if Naos, their brother, saw her, he would have her himself, more especially as she was not married to the king just yet. They perceived the woman coming and called to one another to hasten their step, as they had a long distance to travel, and the dusk of night was coming on. They did so. She cried, Naos, son of Uznec, will you leave me? What piercing, shrill cry is that? The most melodious my ear ever heard, and the shrillest that ever struck in my heart of all the cries I have ever heard. Is it anything else but the wail of a swan? The swans of Connachar, said his brothers. No, yonder is a woman's cry in distress, said Naos, and he swore he would not go further until he saw from whom the cry came. And Naos turned back. Naos and Deirdre met, and Deirdre kissed Naos 3 times, and a kiss for each of his brothers. With the confusion that she was in, Deirdre went into a crimson blaze of fire, and her colour came and went as rapidly as the movement of the aspen in the stream side. Naos thought he never saw a fairer creature, and Naos gave Deirdre his love that he never gave to another thing, to vision or to creature, but to she herself. Then Naos placed Deirdre on the topmost height of his shoulder, and he told his brothers to keep up their pace, and they kept up their pace. Naos thought that it would not even be well for him to remain in Erin on account of the way in which Connachar, king of Ulster, and his uncle's son had gone against him because of the woman, though he had not married her, and though he had turned back to Alba, which in those days was Scotland. He reached the side of Loch Ness and made his habitation there. He could kill the salmon of the torrent from out of his door, and the deer of the grey gorge from out of the window. Naos and Deirdre, Alan and Arden dwelt in the tower, and they were happy so long a time as they were there. By this time, the end of the period came at which Deirdre had to marry Connachar, king of Ulster. Connachar made up his mind to take Deirdre away by the sword, whether she was married to Naos or not. So he prepared a great and gleeful feast. He sent word far and wide through Erin that all his kinspeople were to come to the feast. Connachar thought to himself that Naos would not come, though he should bid him, and the scheme had arose to his mind was to send for his father's brother, Ferchar mac Ro, and to send him as an embassy to Naos. He did so, and Connachar said to Ferchar, tell Naos, son of Uznec, that I am setting forth a great and gleeful feast to my friends and kinspeople throughout the wide extent of Erin all, and that I shall not have rest by day or night, unless he, Alan and Arden, his brothers, be partakers in my feast. Ferchar mac Ro and his 3 sons went on their journey and reached the tower where Naos was dwelling by the side of Loch Ness. The sons of Uznec gave a cordial, kindly welcome to Ferchar mac Ro and his 3 sons, and asked him news of Erin. The best news that I have for you, said the hardy hero, is that Connachar, king of Ulster, is setting forth a great sumptuous feast to his friends and kinspeople throughout the wide extent of Erin. And he has vowed by the earth beneath him, by the high heavens above him, by the sun and the winds of the west, that he will have no rest, nor day, sleep, or night, until the sons of Uznik, the sons of his own father's brother, will come back to the land of their home and the soil of their nativity, and to feast likewise. He has sent us as embassies to invite you. We will go with you, said Naus. We will, said his brothers. But Deirdre did not wish to go with Felica Macro, and she tried every prayer to turn Naus from going with him. She said, I saw a vision, Naus, and I do not interpret it to be me, said Deirdre. Then she sang a song. O Naus, son of Uznik, hear what was shown in a dream to me. There came 3 white doves out of the south, flying over the sea, and drops of honey were in their mouths from the hive of the honey bee. O Naus, son of Uznik, hear what was shown in a dream to me. I saw 3 grey hawks out of the south come flying over the sea, and the red drops they bear in their mouth, they were dearer than life to me. Says Naus, it is naught but the fear of a woman's heart and a dream of the night, Deirdre. The day that Connachar sent the invitation to his feast will be unlucky for us if we don't go. Oh, Deirdre. You will go there, said Fergal Macro, and if Connachar show kindness to you, show ye kindness back to him. And if he will display wrath towards you, display wrath towards him. And I and my 3 sons will be with you, whatever the outcome be. We will, said Daring Drop. We will, said Hardy Holly. We will, said Filian the Fair. I have 3 sons, and they are 3 heroes. In any harm or danger that may befall you, they will be with you, and I myself along with them. And Ferdica Macro gave his vow and his word in the presence of arms, that in any harm or danger that came the way of the sons of Uznik, he and his 3 sons would not leave head on live body of Erin, despite sword or helmet, spear or shield, blade or mail, wherever they went. Deirdre was unwilling to leave Alba, but she went with Naus. Deirdre wept tears in showers, and she sang once more. Dear is the land over there, Alba full of woods and lakes. Bitter to my heart is leaving thee, but I go away with Naus. Ferdica Macro did not stop till he got the sons of Uznik away with him, despite the suspicion of Deirdre. The coracle was put to sea, the sail was hoisted to it, and the second morrow they arrived on the white shores of Erin. As soon as the son of Uznik landed in Erin, Ferdica Macro sent word to Connachar, king of Ulster, that the men who he wanted were come, and to let him show kindness to them. Well, said Connachar, I did not expect the sons of Uznik would come, though I sent for them, and I am not quite ready to receive them. But there is a house down yonder where I keep strangers, and let them go there today, and my house will be ready for them tomorrow. But he that was up in the palace felt it long that he was not getting word on how matters were going on those down in the house of the strangers. Go you, Gelban Gechnad, son of Lochlin's king, go you down and bring me information as to whether her former hue and complexion are on Deirdre. If they be, I will take her out with the edge of a blade or the point of a sword, and if not, let Naus and the sons of Uznik have her for himself, said Connachar. Gelban, the cheering and charming son of Lochlin's king, went down to the place of the strangers, where the sons of Uznik and Deirdre were staying. He looked in through the bicker hole on the door leaf. Now she that had gazed upon used to go into a crimson blaze of blushes when anyone looked at her. Naus looked at Deirdre and knew that someone was looking at her from the back of the door leaf. He seized one of the dice on the table before him and fired it through the bicker hole and knocked the eye of Gelban Granak, the cheerful and charming, right through the back of his own head. Gelban returned back to the palace of King Cockabar. You are cheerful, charming going away, but you are cheerless and charmless returning. What has happened to you, Gelban? But have you seen her, and was Deirdre's hue and complexion as before? Well, I have seen Deirdre, and I saw her also truly, and while I was looking at her through the bicker hole of the door, Naus, son of Uznik, knocked out my eye with one of the dice in his hand. But of the truth and verity, although he put out my eye, it were my desire still to remain looking at her with the other eye. And if not for the hurry you told me to be in, said Gelban. That is true, said Connachar. Let 300 bravo heroes go down to that abode of the strangers, and let them bring back hither to me Deirdre, and kill the rest of them who dwell there, for her complexion is still as it was. Connachar ordered 300 active heroes to go down to the abode of the strangers, and to take Deirdre up with them and kill the rest. The pursuit is coming, said Deirdre. Yes, I will myself go out and stop the pursuit, said Ness. It is not you, but it is we will go, said Daring Drop and Hardy Holly and Fallion the Fair. It is to us that our father entrusted your defence from harm and danger when he himself left for home. And the gallant youths, full and noble, full manly, full handsome and beauteous. Brown locks went forth girt with battle arms fit with fierce fight, and clothed in combat dress for fierce contest, which was burnished bright, brilliant, bladed, blazing, on which the pictures of beasts, birds, were creeping things and lions, and live-limbed tigers shone on their armour, brown eagle and harrying hawk, the fierce adder, and the young heroes laid low 3/3 of the company. Connachar came out in haste and cried with wrath, who is there on the floor to fight slaughtering of my men? We, the sons of Ferchar Mac Ro. Well, said the king, I will give you free bridge to your grandfather, a free bridge to your father, and a free bridge to each of the 3 brothers, if you come over to my side tonight. Well, Connachar, we will not accept that offer from you, nor thank you for it. Greater by far do we prefer to go home to our father and tell of the deeds of heroism we have done, than accept anything on these terms from you. Naeth, son of Uznik, and Alan and Ardin are as nearly related to you yourself as we are, though you seem so keen to shed their blood. And you would shed our blood also, Connachar. And the noble, manly, handsome youths with beauteous brown locks returned inside. We are now, said they, going home to tell our father that you are now safe from the hands of the king. And the youths, all fresh and tall and lithe and beautiful, went home to their father to tell the sons of Uznik were safe. This happened at the parting of the day, and the night in the morning twilight came, and Naas said that they must go away, leave the house and return to Alba. Naas and Deirdre, Alan and Ardin started to return to Alba. Word came to the king that the company he was in pursuit of were gone. The king then sent for Duan Gacha Druid, the best magician he had, and he spoke with him as follows. Much wealth I have expended on you, Duan Gacha Druid, to give schooling and learning and magic mystery to you. If these people get away from me today without care, without consideration or regard for me, without chance of overtaking them, without power to stop them, well, I will stop them, said the magician, until the company you send in pursuit return. And the magician placed a wood between them and where they would go. But the sons of Uznik marched through the wood without halt or hesitation, and Deirdre held on to Naos's hands. What is the good of that? That will do not yet, said Connachar. They are off without bending in their path, their feet or stopping in their step, without heed or respect to me, and I am without power to keep up with them, or opportunity to turn them back this night. I will try another plan on them, said the druid, and he placed before them a grey sea instead of a green plain. The 3 heroes stripped and tied their clothes behind their heads, and Naos placed Deirdre on the top of his shoulders. They stretched their sides to the stream, and the sea and the land from were the same. The rough grey ocean was the same. The meadowed green now was gone. Though that be good, O Doanan, it will not make the 3 heroes return, said Connachar. They are gone without regard for me, and without honour to me, and without power on my part to pursue them, to force them to return this night. We shall try another method on them, since you one did not stop them, said the druid. And the druid froze the grey, rigid sea into hard rock knobs, the sharpness of sword being on the edge, and the poison powers of adders on the other. Then Arden cried that he was getting tired and nearly giving over. Come you, Arden, and sit on my right shoulder, said Naos. Arden came and sat on Naos's shoulders. Arden was long in this posture when he died, but though he was dead, Naos would not let him go. Alan then cried out he was getting faint and nigh well giving up. When Naos heard his prayer, he gave forth a piercing sigh of death and asked Alan to lay hold of him, and he would bring him to land. Alan was not long when the weakness of death came on him, and his hold failed. Naus looked around, and when he saw his two well-loved brothers dead, he cared whether he lived or died, and gave forth a bitter sigh of death, and his heart burst. "They are gone," said Duan and Gacha Druid to the king, "and I have done what you desired me. The sons of Uznik are dead, and they will trouble you no more, and you have your wife hale and whole to yourself. Blessings for that upon you, and may the good results accrue for me, Duanan. I count it no loss what I spend in the schooling and teaching of you. Now dry up the flood, and let me see if I can behold Deirdre," said Connachar. And Duanan Gacha Druid dried up the flood from the plain, and the three sons of Uznik were lying together dead, without breath of life, side by side on the green meadow plain, and Deirdre bending over, showering down her tears upon them. Then Deirdre said this lament: "Fair one, loved one, flower of beauty, beloved upright and strong, beloved noble and modest warrior, fair one, blue-eyed, beloved of thy wife, lovely to me at thy trysting place, came thy clear voice through the woods of Ireland. I cannot eat or smile henceforth. Break no today, my heart. Soon shall I lie within my grave. Strong are the waves of sorrow, but strong is sorrow itself for Connachar." The people then gathered round the heroes' bodies and asked Connachar what was to be done with the bodies. The order that we gave was they should dig a pit and put the three brothers in it side by side. Deirdre kept sitting on the brink of the grave, constantly asking the grave diggers to dig the pit wider and free. When the bodies of the brothers were put in the grave, Deirdre said, "Come over hither, Naus, my love. Let Iden close and Alan lie. If the dead had any sense to feel, you would have no place for Deirdre." The men did as they were told. She jumped into the grave and lay down beside Naus, and she was dead by his side. The king ordered the body to be raised from the grave and to be buried on the other side of the loch. It was done, and the king bade, and the pit closed. Thereupon a fir shoot grew out of the grave of Deirdre, and a fir shoot grew out the grave of Naus, and the two shoots untied in a knot above the loch. The king ordered the shoots to be cut down, and this was done twice, until at the third time the wife whom the king had married caused him to stop this work of evil, and his vengeance and remains upon the dead to let them be. Thank you for listening to Tales of the Secret Isle. Tune in next time when I'll read another story from the ancient lands of Ireland and Britain. Goodbye.